our dialogue on our review this morning. Our guest joins us virtually as we look to review these headlines. Here's the business editor of the New National Star newspaper, Mr. Sam Otuoye. Hello, Mr. Sam. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
May I add a happy new month to you as well. Very well. Thanks for asking. Welcome to the program. Now, let's begin with deliberations. The president at NEC urged governors to take the gains of the Renewed Hope agenda to the grassroots. And it's an initiative that targets 8.8 million Nigerians in financial support. Let's get your take on that declaration by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Hello?
Did you get my question, sir?
Can you take it again?
My question was...
Yeah, take it again, please.
My question was on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's instruction to state governors at the NEC meeting, asking them to take the developments to the grassroots in financial support to 8.8 million Nigerians. What do you make of that intention by the president?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a good intention. Just as you said, it's an intention, it's a good one. You see, the subnationals cannot do anything that is not what the federal government has led the way. Because I've said it here before, that you see, when the leadership, when the head is rotten, there's no way the tail will be free from rottenness. So it's good that he has advised them, he has counseled them, he has urged them to help develop their states. But then, you see, when we put things in order, when we put things appropriately, everything will flow seamlessly. The president doesn't need to tell the governor of a state that he needs to do well in the state. He doesn't need to do that. The governor was elected, or is elected, by the electors, the citizens of the state. So before they elect a governor, what it means is that they trust that governor to do the right thing. But because of the corruption in the system where people vote are not counting, that is why we are having some of these unnecessary pleas, as it were. Because if you elect somebody like, say, P2B, for instance, and you don't need to tell him to do the right thing. So president telling the governor to do the right thing is because they are ab initio. Fundamentally, there's something wrong. Because every governor should know what to do for his state. That's the truth. So the advice of the president is in good order, but then we must address the foundation of not doing well, the foundation of not, that propels this kind of advice or counsel. We must address it, which is the corruption aspect, which is the electoral malpractice, and all of those. If the citizens' votes count and they vote for somebody they know that will deliver, it won't get to the point of the president cancelling governors to help develop their states and assist their citizens. It will be seamless. But then, whatever be the case, he has spoken as the president, and the governor should listen and do something about it. Just as he, through the president, should do something about other issues that affect the nation. Thank you.
Now, I'm talking about financial aid, and particularly from social interventions. There is a lacuna created by the appointment of a new APC national chairman who was the former humanitarian minister and Professor Yedwat. Many are asking, this financial aid, don't they need to go through the humanitarian ministry, or can the governments just go about their own interventions at the subnational level without having that synergy with a ministry designed to go about such interventions?
Yeah, thank you so much. You know that ministry has been wrought with scandals of corruption.
all the time we always talk about corruption. It has become like a dashboard, for the country. Meanwhile, that is not what's supposed to be. The ministry you're talking about, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, we know how much billions and trillions of naira that got wasted, in that ministry. So for them to supervise, the subnationals or have anything to do with partnership with them is like a leprous finger. There's no point for that. The states should do their own thing, while the federal should do his own thing. As far as all these issues of humanitarian services, SMEs, and youth development, I think the national coordination might not be necessary, because the nation or the national leadership has not shown propriety. They've not shown transparency. They've not shown accountability. So for them to lead is not necessary. Let every state governor, let every state handle his own thing, so that the report card will come at that level of individual states, what you have done and what you have been able to achieve. I think that is the best thing to do. So the coordination from the nation or the partnership or collaboration, I don't think is necessary, because it will still go back to what it was. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs doesn't have a good name, doesn't have a good image, and has done a lot against the nation. So why should they go into partnership with them or coordinate for them? I don't think it's necessary.
Now, there's also an issue of the need for an accurate national social register. When we talk about indigent Nigerians, and in this case, just 8.8 million are being targeted, many might say it's the first phase of an intervention. But how do we more or less verify transparency in these initiatives without an accurate social register?
Yeah, thank you so much. The register is good. One thing we are passing through in Nigeria is integrity. Everything in Nigeria does not have integrity. Even our data. We'll go collect data, mine data, and all of those. But the integrity of the data is questionable, because somebody will say, you see, there's something that is happening. Some transport associations are complaining concerning CNG conversion, vehicular conversion, right? They say that, look, these people will go take the names of the unions and go behind them and now use private cars and do the conversion and pretend as if they are commercial vehicle owners for whom those initiatives were meant. You see, so you have data, but that data doesn't have integrity. That is the problem. To collect data, collect information, profile people, and all of those things is not the problem. The problem is those people that have been profiled. Are you sure they are the same people that are supposed to gain from the initiative? That is where the problem lies. So data integrity is key, and everything also boils down to corruption. So they should register 800,000, phase 1, phase 2, the ones we did before, all those cash transfers. How many people got it? How many people on the register verified got those things? So it won't do anything differently until we have a leadership that we trust. Because as far as Nigerians are concerned, this leadership is not trusted, just like previous leaderships. And that is why Nigerians are calling for leaders like P2B to come on board and change
Mr. Sam, how do you measure this dissatisfaction allegedly by Nigerians towards the current government, not just at the federal level, but across states? Are you saying the Nigerians are dissatisfied with the president alone, or are not dissatisfied with their individual state governors?
Yeah, thank you very much. The Nigerians are dissatisfied with what's going on. And what's going on is very obvious. It's not hidden. Hunger is in the land. And why are we having hunger when we are sitting on plenty resources? That is where the issue is. So the issue of whether Nigerians are not satisfied, it is obvious. There is one.
Hello, Mr. Sam. Now, whilst we wait for Mr. Sam to get back, we'll also take a look at some of the footages coming in from the NEC meeting with the governors.
Right. So, yeah, some states that are doing well and trying. We all want them to. The citizens are not. We are being pinched. Nigerians are being pinched. And Nigerians are crying.
Now, Mr. Sam, my question was that should it be more directed at the state governors or at the president?
So it's for the leadership to change the system and do the right thing, and the crime will stop.
Now, my question was on how easy it is to blame the government at the federal level. My question was on how easy it is to blame the government at the federal level when state governors are somehow absolved of their own roles and responsibility in this dialogue.
I didn't get you quietly, but if I got what you asked concerning state governors doing their own thing, is that what you said?
Yes, please.
Oh, good. Yes, I had mentioned some states while I was talking. Some state governors are trying, and their citizens know, and they are giving them accolades. That's the truth. Sometimes you separate yourself. After all, when Peter was in governor in Anambra State, he was not the only governor that was doing well. Meanwhile, many other governors were not doing what he was doing. Even the federal government at that time, was not even doing better than what he was doing in his state. So, just as we said, let it be a person thing, let it be a leader thing. Wherever you are, you put your house in order, and people will know about it. So that's why I mentioned governors like Abia State Governor, Enugu State Governor, and some of them in the north, and all of those. Those ones that are doing good, are doing well. We recognize them. Nigerians know. They recognize them and they commend them. That's the truth. When you do well, you get commendation. When you don't, people will speak against you and criticize you adequately. I think that is what is going on.
Move on to another issue in the news this morning as we continue to deliberate on as featured. Now, this intervention, in contrast, is also much needed because when you look at international aid coming into Nigeria, the most recent report is that the UN food aid is looking to end, and its implication in ending is that 34 million Nigerians are now at a risk of acute hunger. What do you say concerning our proactiveness towards strengthening our food security?
Aids are good also. You see, we can't always rely on aids, foreign aids. That's why some of us are commending Trump. People see him as harsh, see his policies as harsh, but then those policies are for amendment, to amend some countries like Nigeria, so that you don't always think you can eat your cake and have it. You spoil what you have at your local level and believe that you will always depend on the foreign aids. It doesn't work. So we must put our house in order as a country. We must put our house in order as a nation. Food security, we have what it takes to secure food. As it well, we have what it takes. Is it the lab mass? Is it the machinery? What do we not have? Is it the finance? What do we not have? All we need to do is this security matter, this insurgency, this banditry, this herdsmen clashes and all of those, kidnapping and all of those. If we tame it, people will go back to the farm and there will be food everywhere. And we see there's something P2B said during the campaign that if you give him chance, that will convert Sambisa forest, right, to a mechanized agricultural district, as it were. So this government now that came in, if they should take a cue from what P2B said, it is very possible. By the time you go, because from what I learned, Sambisa Forest is a very special place, very I don't know how many hectares and kilometers of lands that are there, but they say if you go into agriculture in Sambisa Forest alone, Nigeria will not be hungry. There won't be issue of food security, insecurity. So what we're saying, what Nigerians are saying is we have enough, we can do it. And that spirit is what we must hold on to, and we move in and we get the results. So talking about food security and AIDS, it's good that any country, America, if they want to stop AIDS, they should stop, so that we can take our destiny into our hands and do the right thing. And when we get it right, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing difficult for Nigerians to get anything they want to get right, because we have all the resources, both human and material. So that's my thought on it.
Then let's now dwell on the outcome of Thursday's FEC meeting. One of the outcomes of yesterday's FEC meeting is the approvals for 145 billion naira for electrification projects for universities and others. We've been having challenges with ensuring power is stable in Nigeria. How much of this is a boost? Do you see it alleviating the current plight of Nigerians when it comes to access to electricity?
Thank you so much. If I heard you correctly, you were talking about the African Development Bank aid, right?
No, I'm talking about FEC meeting, not today's FEC meeting. Federal Executive Council meeting.
Yes. Take it again, let me hear.
The Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday with outcomes bordering around 145 billion naira approved for electrification projects for verities. The likes of University of Ibadan, University of Nsukka, Nigeria, were also headlined to benefit from these approvals. What do you make of it?
Yeah, thank you so much. That's work in progress, because electricity has been taking so much money, from the federal coffers to fix it. But all the years they've attempted, nothing much has happened. And the question is why? Getting some universities and other institutions, to come on board in electricity is good. I don't have any problem with anything that will improve the condition of Nigerians, the condition of our institutions, particularly the education sector, the health sector, and the rest, right? So my concern is the implementation. So much money, how much to go into the project, and how much will be wasted away through the normal corruption. My take is that they should make sure that those things are implemented, the funds are properly utilized, transparently utilized, and let there be accountability at the end of the day. I don't bother much about all these projects and what they want to do with the money and all that. The interest of Nigerians is making sure that those things are done and accountability and transparency is seen to have been done. That is what is important there. So all those schools, yes, I know they are going to take it in phases, as it were, but they must ensure that the takeoff point is transparently done, so that when they are coming up for another phase, Nigerians will not criticize what they've done. The Nigerians will take it in as, wow, this is a good job. They can continue, right? Continuity is because of what you've done with the initial. If the initial was not properly implemented, the continuity question will become an issue. So I don't have any problem with that. They should go ahead, but it must be seen that transparency and accountability was properly carried out. Thank you.
An important component of this approval for electrification projects is a second phase of solar installation for rural agri projects. About 68.7 billion naira has been budgeted for this. What do you make of this in terms of the conversations around strengthening food security and resilience?
so much. I didn't hear you clearly, but we are talking about solar systems, right?
Yes, the second phase of solar power for agric rural centers.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's still the electricity thing we are talking about, agri-rural areas. Yes, it's very important though. The truth about the matter is that all these funds, you see, anyway, I will get something now because that's something I'm investigating as a journalist. But let me not go there now. All these funds that have been mentioned and bandied, we must see them in action. It's not every time we say, oh, we are doing 10 billion, this, 20 billion, that. We must see the results. Unfortunately, the results are not coming. That's why we still do the same thing after several times. We don't need to do what we have done before again, because somebody somewhere has cornered the funds. That is the problem we're having in Nigeria. All these projects are good. Yes, farming, because of food security, we need it. Lighting up the place and letting the farmers do their work, we need it. But what about the security? I hope they will have enough security so that when they go to farm and when they do their farming activities, they won't be kidnapped. They won't be shot dead. You see, that is more fundamental. The truth about the matter is, if we check insecurity in this country, every other thing will fall in line, including farming. So what they do for farmers and what they do for agrarian areas is not the issue. The issue is that at the end of the day, what will be the result? So we are good in making all these policies and coming up with all these humongous amount of money for projects. But when we finish with those projects, at the end of the day, Nigerians will look back and say, we didn't see anything. Just as you mentioned humanitarian service and all of those monies. You saw what happened at the end of the day. So we are not enthused. Nigerians are not enthused by the humongous projects and the volumes of money that will be put into it. But what I'm interested in, what is the result at the end of the day? We must do the right thing and we must do it from the root, fundamentally. Thank you.
Well, let's move on to another outcome. It's still at the FEC meeting, but this is as it concerns the ongoing nurses' strike. The FEC meeting also approved a new national industrial dialogue policy, one that regulates the activity of trade unions. How important is this in dialoguing with trade unions and even in terms of industrial actions as it concerns strikes?
Yeah, thank you so much. Nurses are still on strike, and I think that was part of our lead this morning, the National Star. Nurses are still on strike, and we know why. As a matter of fact, it was the government that even fired up the strike action, because the circular they brought in terms of salaries and wages and all of those stuff, triggered the anger of nurses and medical personnel, as it were. So Nigerians are tired of platitudes. We will do, and till tomorrow nothing happens. And again, let me talk about this strike thing. More strikes are coming. More industrial actions are coming to take place because of what has happened a few days ago for the Super Falcons, right? Nigerians are saying that, look, well done, you've done well, but the money that the federal government gave to them, and with the houses and all other allowances, Nigerians are complaining about it. That Nigerians are poor. Look at the minimum wage and look at what you have given to one individual. In fact, some people said for playing for 90 minutes remuneration, as it were, And here are nurses striking because of poor wages and salaries. And what do you say to that? Other institutions, other groups will strike after nurses. And that is the way it goes. It's a chain reaction. doctors will do, lecturers will come on their own, and all, everybody will now say, oh, give me my portion. We have so much money in this country. Give me my portion. That's what's going to happen. So you're going to see more strike industrial actions after now. But for nurses, government said they will meet with them today, yes, and see how they can resolve it. It's very important they resolve it as quickly as possible because Nigerians are dying. Federal hospitals are not working. Doctors cannot treat patients without nurses. So strike action, we must check it. And the way to check it is do the right thing. When you, as a matter of fact, we are causing our own trouble. These our girls did very well. We commend them. But I don't know who takes this kind of decision. They don't look at the entire national ecosystem, what is going on, and the hunger and everything, and salaries and the remunerations of other people, other citizens, and give them what is appropriate. 150 million naira, an individual. Nigerians are saying kudos to Falcons, but government, you did not do well. Your action was, went overboard, as it were. So, for nurses and other industrial actions that may come up, government should please handle them with care because they have reason to strike. And that their so-called controversial circular, thank God they've withdrawn it. They must come out with a better circular that will please and appease the nurses and other medical personnel. And they should also keep the one for other institutions that will come on strike, because that is the way it goes in this country. If you give one, another person will come. So let's expect more and let government get prepared to handle them. Thank you.
Mr. Sam, talking about this cash rewards for the Super Falcons, amid the public outcry that other more deserving public servants and civil servants also should have such remunerations, is the argument as put forward by Mr. Bayo Nanuga, who says that if for reality TV shows you can see winners walking away with the same 150 million naira, it shouldn't be so much of a big deal should the government choose to reward the Super Falcons for bringing national pride to the country, particularly with the outcry that the women's sport has been neglected over time as compared to the men's sport.
I don't know what they mean that by the women folk have been neglected. I don't think that is the issue here. The last time the men football team won a cup was, I don't know, I can't remember when, and I can't remember how much they were given.
Now, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, SAN, there speaking, giving a detailed breakdown of the 919 billion naira as approved for the modernization of the Lagos and Kano airports, with the specificities in terms of what those monies would be used for to better the aviation systems and ensure traveler safety. Well, still with us virtually is Sam Otuoye of the New National Star newspaper. Hello, Mr. Sam. Your network hasn't been doing too well for us to hear you as much, but if you listen to comments by the minister and care to react, let's get your take.
All right, thank you so much. Even though I didn't hear the minister when he was speaking, but from what you said, is the same thing we are talking about. Allocating funds for enhancement, for improvement, for renovation, for fresh developments of facilities and all of those. I've said it earlier. I don't have any problem with that. Nigerians don't have any problem with that. You know, uplifting Lagos and Kano airports. They can uplift other airports as well. We don't have any problem. But let us see those jobs done. Let us see, because this airport is related to foreign direct foreign investment. Because if you have a good airport, when a foreigner comes in, the foreigner will be happy to have something to do with the country. It has some international relations status, as it were, right? So And Lagos Airport is very strategic because of the commercial driven nature of Lagos, where so many foreign investors coming to look for one business or the other. So it's in order to get those places upgraded. But remember that these places we are talking about, Lagos Airport and some other airports in Nigeria, this is not the first time they're talking about upgrade. As a matter of fact, if the upgrades, the previous upgrades, were properly done, we might not be talking about upgrades again. And that is why I said, when we get the initial right, continuity becomes very simple. But when Nigerians are not satisfied with all these humongous amount of money spent on all these projects and initiatives, it's because of the result. The results are not commendable. Getting airports in order, uplifting, upgrading them to international standard, that is what it should be. And it should have been this long time ago, decades ago. That today we are talking about all these upgrades and renovations and all that. It's even an aberration, as it were, because if you go outside of this country, you see what airports look like. There was a time in this country, Lagos Airport, international airport, their toilets were very, very, very bad, in very shabby conditions. And Nigerians were shouting, complaining about it. You know, before who was the minister then that upgraded the place, whether the Igbo woman or Chidoka or somebody, you know, one of the ministers came and took up that challenge, right? So we don't need to wait for all these facilities to get down before we do them, before we renovate them, before we refurbish them. We don't need to wait for that to happen. So the minister should go ahead and do it, and let him please, Nigerians are watching, do the right thing, get the right results at the end of the day. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Samir. Let's move on to other issues in the news this morning. It's no news that the quality of education following the conduct of key entrance examinations have painted a better picture as to where our quality of education is. In light of this, the Nigerian Governors Forum has reached a decision to declare a state of emergency on education, particularly with the deficit in teachers. The need is that over 200,000 qualified teachers are needed nationwide to strengthen the quality of education. Is this going to be one of those risks, or do you see committed to strengthening education? Mind you, there is a report that the UBEC fund available to states are still untouched. Let's discuss this now, Mr. Sam.
Yeah, thank you so much. Even though I didn't get some part of the questions, but I know that you are talking about education and the state of our schools and institutions. Very worrisome. I tell you, New National Star has done some reports, investigative reports, you know, on education in Nigeria. I think we did the last one on Imo State. And what we found out was in a primary school and secondary school particularly, those places are like ghost areas. If you get to some of these states, you will see that even the buildings have all collapsed. And governors don't care. That is what's going on. It's a very strategic move. If FEC has come into it to say, look, we must handle education, I think that if they do that one alone this year, they've done well. I tell you, if you get to rural schools, there are no classrooms, no chairs, no teachers. A school, one of the schools we investigated, had about I think 3 teachers teaching all the subjects, because of that, people are not attracted. Even teachers, even when you train them, right, they are not attracted to the schools, because when they get there, the place is a sham. You must first uplift the infrastructure status of those schools, so that when you come into a place that, oh, I'm employed here. You'll be happy to work. You will see an office to sit. You see the classrooms and see the chairs for your students and see their uniforms. See, it is not a big deal for Nigeria, for the government to make uniforms for students. There's no big deal about that. We can do it. So that when you see our children, they look good going to school. They look good coming back from school. And the teachers will be happy to have such in their classrooms. So upgrade of our institutions, educational institutions, is very key. It runs off on the performance, the national performance of our students.
Mr. Sam,
in exam. Yes.
Mr. Sam, the Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, Dr. Aisha Garba, sometime last week or a week ago, had raised concerns that despite the provision of over 250 billion naira in UBEC funds, state governors are yet to use this money. They are unused. With all this needs bedeviling the education sector at the subnational level, why do you think that the state governors have not indicated as much will to utilize those funds?
Thank you very much. Our network is not very good. But I heard you say that amount of money is unused.
Yes,
if that is the case, yes. Honestly, it calls for concern. It calls for concern. It's like what happened during the COVID. All the palliatives, the governors left them in warehouses while their citizens were suffering. I mean, how can that be? That's why we are talking about when people elect their governors that they know that will work for them, things will be seamless. Your people are hungry and there's food in the warehouses. That's the same thing we are talking about here. There's money for upgrade of schools, employment of teachers, and nobody is touching it. Nobody is using it. That's a big irony. Sincerely, that's a big irony. Yet every day we write on these things. We journalists will write on these things every day. I told you the one we did last was on Imo State. And you tell me that you have those funds there, and you look at those schools collapse, their buildings, their fences, their gates. They are like ghost areas. It's very unfortunate. I think the federal government needs to put more pressure on subnational governments. They need to put them under pressure to utilize these funds and get these things done. Because at the end of the day, it comes back to the federal government. Because if the subnationals are not doing well, the federal government is not doing well. And the federal government, as it were, is the image of the country on the outside world. So, it is their duty. You know, I've said it here severally, that look, the way private sector operates, government should take 40% of their model. I know they can't take 100%. Only 40% will change a lot of things. Because I've said here before, that look, when I was in the bank, when we come for meetings, performance meetings, questions are asked every manager, up to the EDs. So when they have FEC and they come together, I ask the question, what does the president ask them, the governors? What do they discuss? When you have monies, lying loose, monies for development lying loose, and you keep quiet, is when you bring those things out and discuss that they will begin to know, they will begin to have some sense of responsibility and duty. But if you come together and just drink somebody said that leaders are into drinking 50 years old wine, whiskey, you don't do that. Even as you drink, just take some responsibility around it. It's not a function of, it's not a tea party. Leadership is not a tea party. That is what we see in Nigeria. They see it as, after what can you do to me? I have immunity, so I can say anything and do anything. That is the problem we have. This immunity clause must be looked into, because it's making governors not do their work well and behave like untouchables. And that is what part of the problem we have. Otherwise, some governors can be booted out before their time. Who does that? The other day, the governor was giving threats to a Nigerian politician that he should not come to his state, that he must take permission for, and all of those things. It's because of the immunity. Otherwise, he would have been in court by now. Right? So immunity clause is one of the things that Nigerians must look into once again, because it's making governors not to perform their duties. Many of them, they say they live in Abuja. They don't even stay in their states. So what's going on there, they don't know. That is what is happening. You see, you cannot superintend over something that you don't know.
All right.
You cannot.
All right, Mr. Sam, in conclusion, we have a little less than 10 minutes, and let's see if we can squeeze in one or two more topics. One of them is the pressing need to access PMS at affordable rates. Whilst Dangote had earlier planned a nationwide distribution with bulk sales to all parts of the country, it's the ongoing price war between petrol marketers and Dangote refinery. Reports coming in is that the marketers have dropped their prices below that of Dangote refinery. How does this ongoing price feud between the marketers and Dangote refinery shape up conversations in product availability and affordability in the downstream sector?
Thank you so much. That was our lead, New National Stars lead this morning, and I did that story. You see, the issue of Dangote and marketers, the price, petrol price war has been on for a while, where Dangote will slash, you see NNPC slash their own days after, and today we are looking at marketers themselves, slashing below Dangote's price limit. So honestly, is funny. It's a funny situation, and it's not ordinary. It's extraordinary, because there is a game plan, that is fundamental about the situation. Let me say this. Dangote has done well by establishing a refinery in Nigeria, and we all know what he passed through to get it to where it is today, right? You see, marketers are conscious of monopoly, and they've said that this is what the situation looks like. For Dangote, that is refining locally, right? And they that are supposed to be taken from him and supplying, distributing, and getting some money. If he takes it away, that distribution chain away from them, that means the monopoly has dropped. It has come in. And that is what Nigerians must kick against. We don't need monopoly again, because we've had it in other sectors of cement, rice, and some of those other ones, right? And because of the importance of energy, Nigerians can't afford to run into monopoly any longer. So what the marketers are saying is that the president should intervene. I know they've spoken to the House of Reps, and they're looking into it, and all of the National Assembly, they're looking into it. You see, when Dangote drops his price, and marketers now are dropping their price, marketers are running at a loss to make sure that they are afloat, otherwise they're kicked out. And they've said that, look, we have over 5,000 filling stations in this country, and we have workers. If one person does refining, distribution, and retailing, that those filling stations will close down, and there will be job losses. And that the implication of your job losses is insecurity, because these guys that have been working there will look for an alternative to survive, and criminality will take effect, right? So marketers have done what they're supposed to do by calling on the government, the federal government, to intervene in the matter, and I think the federal government will intervene. But what I heard yesterday, which was part of the story I wrote today, is that Dangote is under pressure to reconsider that decision, and that he is likely going to do so. because of the implications. So let's take a breath and wait for Dangote. August 15 will soon be here, and marketers are optimistic that before that time, that he must have rescinded that decision of distribution. As a matter of fact, the Petroleum Industry Act allows for the value chains to operate. There will be refiners. There will be. I was in a meeting yesterday where the midstream downstream authority, they were talking about it, right? They said even PIA allows for the distribution, the retailing, the refining. PIA did not say let it be in one person's hand, let it be in one person's control. No, because they know the implication of all those things being managed by one person. So Dangote should calm down and look at the implications of the decision, so that Nigeria will not go into another fear scarcity, because marketers are saying, they are warning that if it happens, there will be scarcity. We can't afford to run into fear scarcity again in this country. I think all the while there has been availability of fuel and everybody has been using it, even though it's expensive, but at least people know that, if you have the money to buy, it's available. So the implication of Dangote's decision is going to lead to scarcity, which is not the right thing for Nigerians. And I think the federal government should know that and intervene, because it will rub off on the federal government at the end of the day that there's scarcity in Nigeria and there will be long queues again and all of those. That will not help Nigeria. As a matter of fact, what they call it, the marketers are saying that NNPC did the same thing and the thing backfired. That when they began to run retail outlets, they lost focus on the refineries, and that is one of the reasons why refineries went down. So all these things, the federal government, Mr. Tinubu's administration has to look into it.
Now, Mr. Sam, I'd like to reference strapline number 1 under your lead on the front page of your newspaper. It says the refinery under pressure to reconsider direct supply decision. Are you very certain that the Dangote refinery would be reconsidering this decision in light of the pushback being faced by petrol marketers?
Yeah.
How soon can we begin to expect outcomes in that direction?
As a matter of fact, that story was a live event I attended. One of the leaders. Yeah, from what one of the leaders of the marketing angle said, it will happen before the 15th of August, the deadline of Dangote's decision. So that's what we expect.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sam, for taking our time to give us more insights on lead stories and other headlines in the news this morning. We're hoping that we'll be able to resolve these network challenges that you're facing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.